Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody. Good morning or good afternoon if you're over on the East Coast. I'm Paul Wiesner. I'm the CEO of OnTask Recruiter. And with me again is Rob Sutherland with Pro Broker, who handles all the calling and appointment scheduling. And Rob, who did you bring with you today?
Thanks for having me on again, Paul. Always a pleasure to see you. We've got the lovely and talented Director of Career Development from Pro Broker Agency, Lindsay Merchant. How are you, Linz?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, Lindsay. So this, of course, is going to be recorded and blasted out to everybody that attended and put on our website, of course. The agenda today is, before we get into some of Lindsay's best practices and what she does to convince these targeted agents that you all identify through OnTask to schedule an appointment. What does she have to go through? What we're going to do is I'm going to show you some of the reports. We did this in a prior podcast and it went over real well. Again, this is a very powerful tool to kind of, in a detailed way, show you not only your progress, but if you have a recruiter or if you bring Pro Broker on to make a lot of your phone calls to get those appointments set up, it gives you a lot of information about what is being done in terms of reaching out to these recruits, how many times, when did they call them, what texts were sent, what emails were sent, was an appointment set. So let me show you some of those real quick, assuming I know how to do a screen share here. So Rob,
you're the master.
Yeah. So you let me know if this works. Okay. We seeing it?
Nice. We got it.
Okay. So if you go to your dashboard, okay, if you have OnTask, that is, you go to this dashboard, there's a section called reports. And if you click on the reports, it's going to show you the last 30 days of activity. And of course, you can go in there and change the dates and show the prior month, or you can show a specific date range of what has been going on your recruiting activities for OnTask. So the one I brought in here was for a particular client of ours that I blacked out the name of the company and the managing broker. And this is for the month of March. Okay, so this report, obviously I ran today. You can see up here 421, but this was the recruiting activity over the month of March. And as you can see, there were 370 targeted agents reached out to. Now, obviously this is a company of ours or a client of ours that uses Pro Broker's services. So it could be Lindsay, it could be one of Rob's other people, but these, obviously they're making a lot of calls. So they had 370 different people were called. Obviously, a lot of times you leave a voice message, but look at, there are 8 appointments that were set. And then the managing broker went and had actually 5 appointments. And you can see 368 calls were made and 30 texts were sent. Obviously, the next question is, well, great. How does that work? Who did they call? Here is a little snapshot. This isn't all the agents. I highlighted a couple here because you can see, and this one we'll dig into a little bit, this agent, Dwight Johnson. You can see that he was called on the 11th, March 11th, and then an appointment got set on the 16th. So this is a quick way where you can go and you can see what is going on. Linda Klotz, another targeted agent, or Klotz. I hope it's not a Klotz. I must be mispronouncing it. But again, look at how often she was called. And then boom, an appointment was set. Same here. Matt, obviously, these might have been voicemails that were left, but nonetheless, we're being persistent. And that's the key to recruiting, and we'll hear more from Lindsay. So that's one of the reports you can get in here. And this Nicole Lang is one of Pro Broker's callers. And you can see, over the month of March, Nicole placed 365 phone calls and set 8 appointments for the managing broker who I have blacked out up here. And the managing broker made 3 calls. And this is assuming they logged the calls, right? And then texted 30 different times. So that's an example of the report. And let me just show you some screenshots here. Let me make sure I get to the right ones. So here's that Dwight Johnson that was in our report, an existing agent. So this is all data that's in OnTask. So you can see here is Nicole's call that she made. And look at the details she put in here, right? Dwight is from this Imperial Realty. He's interested in speaking about your office. You know, here's his email and here's his phone number. So this gets put in OnTask, goes right to the managing broker. And you can see the managing broker here, his assistant, Kelly, who actually I kind of looked through this record. Kelly done an awesome job here. So Kelly immediately sent out and tried to get this appointment scheduled, right, via text. So all this data is tracked in OnTask. I'm going to show you a couple more here. Here is, this is a new student, okay? So this was not a call made by one of Rob's teams. This is a new student who's not in real estate, and you can tell that because there's no listing data here. If I were able to scroll down, there's no agent ID in MLS, but you can look that it's a graduate that's taking an exam. They're interested in coming to work for this company, and there is communication going on here, farming, if you will, to get this agent to come back. You can see the last log here. Unfortunately, Anna did not pass her real estate exam on her first try. So she's going to take it again here, and there'll be a reminder to follow up if she passed her test. You can see, and all this is in log. Now, this was back in March. So the managing broker here, I don't know if he's followed up and failed to check off the appointment or what, but this is something that's all logged in OnTask. I'm going to show you one more here, and we're going to get the magic of Lindsay. This is another angle at recruiting that we have. It's called following an agent. So you can pick some agents that you want to follow. And every time they have a listing or closing, it puts a little reminder in your box so you can reach out to them and try to start a conversation. So for instance, look at this. So this is all listing and closing data, right, of this particular agent, Chelsea Johnson. You know, and she's got 6.5 million last 12 months, the number of units and stuff. But these are closings she's had. So she sold this unit on Paul Court, Gene Drive, etc. But look at what this Kelly, every time this listing comes up, Kelly was able to zip out a quick text to her congratulating, congratulate you on the closing. This blacked out name as a managing broker would like to, have you come look at working on the team here at his company. So great information, great tools to use for recruiting. And I'm going to stop sharing now, because what we now want to hear is, what would one say as a recruiter? And that's why we have Lindsay here. And Lindsay can talk about what she does to get an appointment set up for you, the managing broker, some of the key things and things she might want to log into OnTask. So with that, Lindsay, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction and for providing that information. I was going to say it looks familiar, but those are pretty standard results, so that makes sense. That being said, every day is different. Basically, we make the calls that you might not have time to, or you might not want to make. Sometimes it's nice to have a buffer in between, and also have someone book those appointments right into your calendar so that you don't have to really even think about it. All the information is there for you. But that's one of the reasons why I love OnTask. It consolidates all that information. So on a regular day, I'm making 200 to 300 phone calls sometimes, and I can get more done a lot faster. And as we know, it's a numbers game. So the follow-up's super important, and then making as many calls as you can will get you the most amount of appointments, and that's what we do best. So.
And before you even start calling, don't you have a conversation with the managing broker or the recruiter
Yes.
to learn a little bit about them? So you're
That's
just not calling, you're getting a script put together, right?
Yeah, that's imperative. So right off the bat, the first thing we're doing is having a conference call. We can do it by Zoom or over the phone, whatever's most convenient for you. And basically what I'm doing is getting an idea of the office culture, talking about your calendar, because once we get those appointments, we want to make sure that both parties are making it to the appointment, which is another reason why I love OnTask. It sends a reminder so that both parties really don't have a reason to forget. And they can also opt in or opt out. If something comes up, that's my job as a recruiter, at least I feel, to follow up on that agent. We know that they're super busy, and so are you. So that's my job, to make sure that if I see that, I'm following up with them. I'm finding out if something came up, usually it does. And so after we get on the phone call, we come up with a script. You customize it to your office culture, to your brokerage, whatever you're looking for to build your business. So not necessarily just the brokerage, but even agents, whatever you're looking to build your business, we want to customize that into the script. And then over the course of a couple of days at the very most, we'll send you a revised copy of that. Once you say, yes, I like it, then we will get started, and you can either send us a list or we can curate one for you. Another bonus of using OnTask is that that's very easy to do. So we can target agents in your area specific to your niche, what you're looking for, based on production, based on a number of things. We can filter and specify.
You're right. When you subscribe to OnTask and of course the broker metrics and integration, it brings in all the agents in your MLS. And then as Lindsay pointed out, either you, the managing broker, can go through there and create a targeted call list of 200 or 1,000 or whatever. You can do it based on trends, agents that are trending up or down, or agents that are selling in a certain area, agents that have a certain amount of volume. And then once you have that list, you can actually label that list. You can call it, Lindsay's targeted recruiting list, right? And then when she logs, so when ProBroker makes calls, Lindsay or Nicole, as you saw earlier, is set up as a sub-user in your account. So they go in there, they put in the name, Lindsay's recruiting list, boom, all of those agents that you targeted pop up on her list of people to call, and then off she goes, calling and logging notes and hopefully booking appointments. One other thing we keep mentioning, but agents, they're salespeople, so they're smart, they know all the tricks in the book. And so if they're getting a number from some zip code that they don't even know, something from if the call is coming from California and they're in Florida, they're going to be like, obviously, I'm just going to send this thing to voicemail. So when you use ProBroker as your caller, in addition to, let's say, Lindsay or Nicole being set up as a sub-user, we also give them a number with your local area code. And that number is dedicated to your account. So when Lindsay's making the call is coming through OnTask on that local number to that targeted agent, and that just eliminates one of those suspect things that I do it all the time on my phone. If I see some zip code that's not anywhere near me, I send it to voicemail. So
that's
well, and I think one of the things that's also important to note is the reason why ProBroker Agency works so well with the real estate industry is because we work like a real estate office. A lot of real estate offices, you're collecting people that are there that produce, you collect a deal fee off of them, and that makes your office profitable. So with our team here, and Lindsay being our director of career development, we've got numerous recruiters. I think we've got almost 30 recruiters right now, and we run it like a real estate office, right? It's very similar kind of business model where we've got recruiters making calls, and if they're not producing, well, they don't get to stay at ProBroker Agency. They don't get to do the calls for OnTask. And I think that's one of the things why we work so well with the real estate industry is we manage it like a successful real estate office, except instead of salespeople selling houses, we've got recruiters who are selling brokerages to people. And with Lindsay being kind of the master of the keys to the training there, Lindsay, when you're training one of our new recruiters, what are one of the most important things you think that we look for in somebody when we're bringing somebody on?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked. One of the most important things for me is that I actually get to see them in person. So they are Vancouver-based recruiters. They are living here, sometimes right down the road, and I get to meet them at the office, sit with them, show them how to make the calls, and they really get that personal touch, which is the theme of the boutique call agency that we are, and that's what we want to deliver as well. So the most important thing Paul already touched on would be the area code. You need them to answer the phone, first of all. Second of all, when they do answer the phone, we want to make sure we sound like we're right there in the office with you. Now, a lot of people know that ever since COVID, you're doing a lot of remote work. So now if it doesn't 100% sound like that, you have a little bit to fall back on. But once again, it's nice to know the landmarks in the area. It's nice to feel comfortable saying the last name of the broker or the brokerage. So doing a little bit of due diligence beforehand will go a long way in the delivery on the actual phone call. Then again, we are the call center. We are the official call center for OnTask. So when we do make that call, we can see, thanks to OnTask, the most recent sale that agent has done. So I can start with a warm touch on, congratulations, this broker wanted you to know that you're standing out, your numbers are amazing, and we just wanted to wish you well, and if you'd like to take a call, we'd love to set that up. And it just creates a really nice, smooth conversation right off the bat. But number one is the delivery, most important.
Yeah, so you don't say, hey, this is Lindsay from Pro Broker, I'd like to talk to you about coming over here to Remax or Realty One or whatever. You actually represent yourself as working for the managing broker, which you are. So I see Jan is on our call here. So you could say, hey, this is Lindsay. I work with Jan. She's been following you. She's very interested in what she could do to help you, because again, it's all about the agent. So Jan thinks she can help you grow your business. Would you like to set up an appointment? Right? I mean, that's
exactly.
Well, that's why the onboarding process is so important when we do sign up a client for OnTask, or whether or not they're using OnTask or not. Really diving deep into what the culture's like at that person's office is important to us, as well as finding out what offices in the area might be more susceptible to being recruited from, right? Sometimes somebody gets bought out. Nobody likes that owner anymore. Well, that's somebody that should be targeted right away if you're trying to get some growth, and there's just certain things that we uncover every time we explore, learning about a new client that help us become more effective with the scripting. Lindsay's talking about having options for scripts by doing co-broker calls, congratulatory calls, whether you're moving up or moving down in the business. These are all different scripts that give you an opportunity to not just make the same call every hour, which I think is why Paul sees the increased results over time on the OnTask frame.
all right.
Co-broker calls are my favorite. Yes. Yes.
So, yeah,
definitely.
I mean, so we try to bring you as many tools as we can, right? It's not one tool fits all. So we have the CRM part of OnTask. We have the co-brokes that we bring in. So anytime an agent in your office closes a deal, we bring that co-broke transaction. Another touch point. We got the following, which I demonstrated. So when an agent that you're interested in, maybe you met him at an event or a cocktail party or wherever, you can follow that agent, and that gives you a touch point. You've got the blast emails that we have set up. And then of course, you have the calling service through Pro Broker here, which is an important part, because as we all know, managing brokers are busy. You want to focus on the highest value added task for your time. And as you can see, on some of those slides, Nicole made 300 calls during the month of March. Well, you probably don't have time to make 300 calls during the month of March. especially when a lot of those calls are going to be voicemails that you're leaving, or the person's going to answer and like, I'm busy right now. I'm going to, can you call me back? Well, if the only call you have to make is after the appointment has been set up and you let Lindsay and Nicole do all of that timely, but or time sucking work of making all these calls, but nonetheless, it's essential to get those few appointments. Then your task is focused on the very high end stuff, which is closing the deal. So that's an important tool in the toolbox. And then, like I said, with the tracking, the reports that we went over at the beginning, it gives you a very good idea of what's happening. So you're not just talking to your recruiter, you're not talking to Lindsay and say, hey, how many calls? Oh, I think I made about 10 or 15 calls today. No, it's the names of the agents are in the report, right? The accountability is there. Whether you use ProBroker or you have someone in your office that you hired, that's the key. And then when you have that data, you can find out, okay, if I'm getting 10 appointments and I'm making 300 calls, is that good metrics or not? Maybe I need to change my scripting a little bit. Maybe I'm targeting the wrong agents, right? So there's just a number of things that we bring to the table to help you recruit efficiently, and with a number of different tools, like using ProBroker for making the calls to help you grow your business. That's why we're here.
And speaking of ProBroker agency, I don't know if anybody's looked at our website, but on our website, our pricing is actually $1,000 a month. But if you sign up through OnTask, it's only $800, which is fantastic savings. Let me tell you, because at the end of the day, you know, like a real estate office, we're trying to cover off people's expenses and expenses of running an office. So ideally, when you hire a ProBroker agency to manage your OnTask account, you've made a couple of recruits in the first couple of months that cover off the cost of having all these services for you. You know, it's probably time to hire it out. I know I hire things out all the time. That's why Lindsay's here, you know, and Lindsay's helped us build a team of people that do these calls, you know. And so has anybody got any questions today? I know we're about to get to half an hour.
Let's take some questions before we wrap it up. And
questions for Lindsay.
To your point, Rob, you know, you're month to month, I'm month to month. An employee that you hire is not month to month. Okay. So we give you that flexibility as well. So if it's working, great for you, great for us. If it's not working, you can get rid of us in 30 days. If you made a bad hire and a recruiter that's in your office, you're not going to get rid of them in 30 days. Not going to happen. So
performance-oriented stuff, right? Like if there's no pressure on people to perform, they're not going to perform. And that's how it is at ProBroker agency. The pressure's on.
Okay.
Accountability. And, you know, some people would say that they can't afford it, and that's all well and good, but you really can't afford not to if you have the right system in place. The return on investment is guaranteed. So
usually immediate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I put at the beginning of the podcast, I put our contact information in there. So you've got www.ontaskrecruiter.com for me. And then for Rob and Lindsay, you've got www.theprobroker.com. So, you know, and I put our phone numbers in there. So please feel free to reach out to us. And if you are an OnTask client user and you're looking at this and you're saying, hey, I'm not using all the tools, or I'm not sure how to use all the tools, or I didn't even know some of these tools were out there, call us and we can walk you through the system again. So, all right. I don't see any questions. So I guess that wraps up this month's.
Thank everybody for attending.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, what a great turnout.
So good to see you again. So, all right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks, Linz.